rising anxiety and a curiosity of how I could move through it in a way that felt graceful, in a way that felt empowering. I started to ask myself these questions, and so I set out on an experiment, and I decided that for a few weeks, every time that I felt anxious, I would meet that anxiety with embrace, just to see what would happen. In this video, I'm going to share with you exactly what happened throughout my week of embracing my anxiety. I'll share with you all of the ups and downs. At the end of this video, I'll also share with you a story about a panic attack that I embraced. It had a really unexpected and important outcome. So if you are someone who struggles with anxiety as well, you might want to stick around and watch till the end. I'm excited and also nervous. It's weird to start to do things that you've always done alone with someone else, and to really let someone else in on a process that feels like it's kind of yours. But I'm also looking forward to it, and I think it's a really sweet thing. So we'll see how it goes. Hopefully my anxiety doesn't get the best of me and make it a difficult experience. I just want to be chill. And enjoy my time. I started to feel my anxiety, and instead of resisting it and pushing it away, I called it in. I embraced it, and I allowed it to have a voice, and that really changed the trajectory of my day and how this anxiety was able to manifest. As I started to feel the anxiety rising in my body, I started to also realize that there was some excitement there, some excitement at pushing myself beyond my comfort zone and pushing myself towards a growing edge. It was really beautiful for me to realize how closely anxiety and excitement are related. The same physiological response happens in the body when we're anxious as when we're excited. When we're anxious and when we're excited, we start to get racing thoughts, our heartbeat increases, we might get sweaty palms, and we start to think about the future. The only difference is that when we are excited, we're thinking about all of the potential good that could come of what we're embarking upon, and when we're anxious, we're thinking about all of the potential negative outcomes. If in this instance I had resisted my initial anxiety, the outcome would have been much different. I don't think that I would have been able to reach that realization of excitement, and I would have spent a lot of time trying to calm myself down and trying to just relax instead of embracing those excitable feelings and letting myself express the excitement, getting a little bit jumpy and a little bit jittery, and it had a much better outcome in the embrace than it would have in the resistance. In telling myself to calm down and to relax, I am resisting the bodily sensations that are natural and that want to happen, and that creates more tension, and I would often carry that tension throughout my day, and I would carry that tension throughout my interactions with others without fully realizing where the tension is coming from. And just the act of realizing and accepting the tension, I was able to dissolve it. Another side effect of embracing my anxiety is that it allowed me to relax into the moment. My anxiety has been pretty chronic, but it's not paralyzing. I can still do pretty much anything, I just do it with a lot of tension and with some nervousness. This week, instead of resisting my anxieties whenever I started to feel anxious, instead I filmed myself and I talked about what I was going through. I talked about what I was feeling. And just that simple act of acknowledging was so healing. And it did mean that I went into the anxieties, and it did mean that I felt the anxieties a little bit deeper than I normally would have. But it also meant that they passed more quickly, and I didn't have to hold on to this tension all day. I just had to allow it to move through me in whatever way it wanted to. I'm trying my best to accept the level of anxiety that I feel, to accept like the identity crisis that I feel, and the art crisis that I'm feeling, the existential crisis that I'm feeling. It's a lot. So I'm gonna go to the woods and I'm going to bathe myself in the forest, and I'm going to lay in the sun and just try and soak up as much of the earth's goodness as I can, and probably cry, and hopefully that helps me recenter. It's important to note that I wasn't allowing the anxiety to take over. I was simply allowing it to exist along with every other part of myself. I was allowing the anxiety to exist along with happiness, along with hope, along with calm, and with self-love. And self-love is a critical ingredient. So we can ask ourselves when we're feeling anxious, are we meeting that anxiety with self-loathing? Like, I hate when I get this way. Why can't I just be normal and happy? What's wrong with me? All these questions just add more anxiety on top of the anxiety. If we can meet our anxiety with self-love and compassion, we can completely change the outcome. The act of self-love begins to soothe our nervous system and lets us know that we are safe. Instead of the questions I mentioned earlier, we can say to ourselves, it makes sense that I feel this way. I love myself and I just want what's best for me. What do I need in this moment? How can I take care of myself? That's completely different energy. The act of embracing is one of openness and softness. It means that we're meeting the moment with love. My typical response to anxiety would have been one of protection, and protection is a hardening act. And protection is necessary in moments where we're actually in danger, but if we're living in this constant state of anxiety, that constant fight or flight mode is going to become too overwhelming for our nervous system, and we will not be able to move out of the anxiety. We're going to stay stuck in that. And so we have to find a different way. We have to change that narrative in our minds and come to a place of embrace rather than a place of protecting. If we want to move from point A, anxiety, to point B, bliss, we first have to accept and know fully where we're at in this present moment. And I think that this is something that people often miss. We see where we want to go and we're like, I'm just going to say my affirmations and vision until I get there. But we're not fully recognizing, we're not fully accepting where we're at in this present moment because it's uncomfortable to look at, because we don't want to accept it. But trying to get to bliss without acknowledging your current state of anxiety is like using a map without knowing where you're at on the map. It's going to be really hard to get to where you're going if you don't know where you're starting from. This acceptance of ourselves, this acceptance of our anxiety and the embrace of our anxiety is a really beautiful and often painful process, to be completely honest. This past 2 weeks were not easy. They were not easy at all. I had to face a lot of different parts of myself, the good, the bad, and the ugly. As I opened myself up more to the anxiety, as I opened myself up more to experiencing the uglier parts of myself, more of myself started to become available. I felt more sensitive. Everything got louder. The noise of others got louder. My frustrations got louder. My desires got louder. My intuition got louder. Right now I'm feeling everything, and a few days ago I feel like I was kind of feeling nothing, like nothing was really hitting me deeply. I'm really proud of myself for opening, and it is hard. Opening is not an easy thing to do by any means, but shaking off the numb, feeling everything, it all got louder, and at times that was quite overwhelming to be feeling so much of the time. Along with feeling it all came feeling more joy and more of myself as well. And this is one of the best side effects that I found of embracing my anxiety, is that more of me came alive. I was able to access deeper levels of joy and to find more joy in the simplest of moments. New tomato sprouts greeting the sun, the opportunity to dance in a rain shower, and my lover's return from vacation all became overwhelmingly joyous moments. And they were so simple, but I felt them so deeply that they brought me to tears. And tears of happiness are just one of the best things that I think we can ever experience as humans. This experiment ended with a panic attack. Now I use air quotes here because of a really important realization that I made through the power of embrace. I started to feel the anxiety kick in. I started to feel all of those all too common symptoms, the racy thoughts, the increased heart rate, the tension in my throat. All of these things told me I'm feeling anxious. And so I started to ask myself, what now? Like, what on earth am I anxious about? This time I just want to go to sleep. And in the spirit of embrace, I told myself, go ahead. Shake, feel anxious, do whatever you gotta do to move through this. And so I let my body shake. I let myself feel the tension. As I did this, I realized that I didn't have any anxious thoughts that I needed to attach to the bodily sensations that I was feeling. But even so, the bodily sensations still kept going. I kept shaking. I kept having a racy heartbeat and racy thoughts. And my throat kept tightening more and more. And I started to wonder, what's going on? I don't feel anxious, but my body is still going through this. And while that did start to create some anxiety, I managed to come back to embrace again and again throughout the process of the panic attack. And what I realized is that I wasn't experiencing anxiety. The answer of what I was experiencing, allergies. I was having a histamine response. I was experiencing inflammation throughout my entire body. My throat was tightening because I was having an allergic reaction. My nerves were firing because they were overstimulated and overwhelmed, and they were trying to signal to me that something was wrong. I was experiencing inflammation in my brain, which was causing me to not be able to think super clearly. I started to recall all of the doctors and friends and strangers who, throughout time, responded to my physical ailments by saying that it was all in my head. And I had some remorse at this realization because I realized that I had started to believe them. And I started to feel like there was something wrong with my brain and that I was causing all of these symptoms somehow. But in this moment of embracing myself, I was able to let go of this idea that there was something wrong with my mind and instead just allow myself to be. And when I did that, I realized that the answer didn't lie in there being something wrong with me at all. There is nothing wrong with me. I'm just having an allergy attack. Now, I've done yoga, I've meditated, I've said my daily affirmations, I've gone to therapy, I've literally written down like everything that could have possibly brought me trauma in my entire life and tried to open up all of these things and dissect them and heal them and give them love. Years of this, and I am still experiencing these symptoms of anxiety, And I kept asking myself, why is this still happening? I have done the work. It's because it's not in my head. There's no doubt in my mind that the body and the mind and the spirit are all as one, and we experience things on all levels. But I think that the body is something that really gets left out of mental issues a lot of the time, and we think that it's something that is like inherently wrong with the brain, rather than there's something in our environment or some kind of like other health issue that is causing our brain to be inflamed or to react in certain ways. I'm really, really grateful that this panic attack happened in a time of embrace, because it really has shifted my perspective on my mental health. And now when I start to feel all of these physiological symptoms of anxiety, instead of asking myself what I'm anxious about and trying to find something to be anxious about, I'm simply asking myself, what could have triggered this inflammation in my body, and what can I do to bring down the inflammation? And so I make myself some tea, or I eat some turmeric, and I go about my life, and it's so much more peaceful than trying to figure out what the heck is wrong. If I searched hard enough, I would find something, but I didn't need to. I didn't need to attach any thoughts to my anxiety. Throughout this experiment, I embraced the not so fun sides of myself. I embraced the good, the bad, and the ugly, and I learned a lot throughout the process. Embrace helped me turn my anxiety into excitement. It helped me relax into the moment, into what is. It helped me to feel more of everything, which sometimes is a little bit too much. And it helped me to come more alive. But most importantly, embracing my anxiety helped me to realize that it's not all in my head. Throughout the process of this painting, I encountered a lot of similar feelings to that of embracing my anxiety. I felt like, what's the use? This painting is too ugly to come back from. I could never possibly make this into something beautiful. I hate this painting. But what I realized is that I just needed to change my perspective and to come at it from a different angle. Just like with my anxiety, I needed to live my life a little bit differently and embrace it rather than resisting it. So this is where I got this painting to, and I think it looks okay. I don't love it. I'm not excited about it. And I've decided to just stop at this point, even though I know that there's more that I could do to improve it. I just feel like it's not worth my time. My time would be better spent working on projects and on paintings that I actually really love. And this is another really important lesson that I'm learning through art and through life is we can embrace the ugly and we can alchemize ugly into something beautiful. But sometimes it's not worth it. Sometimes it's better to just let something go and to focus that energy on what you really want to be doing instead. Not everything needs to be embraced. Not everything needs to be alchemized. Some things can just be let go of. And that's where I'm at with this painting. Even if I finish this painting, I'm not going to feel like I really love it. I do like this top part, and I might reference that in later paintings, and I like the colors. I even like some of these flowers down here, and I like the 60s road trip vibe that it's got going on, and I might try and recreate that in another painting, but without all of this weird lumpy texture. And so I'm just gonna let go of this canvas and start to work on something that I really enjoy instead. Thank you for being here. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe for more videos like it. And until next time, sending you love.